Hello, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press Football Preview 2019 season. Taking a look at all the teams from around the area, and today we are honored to have head football coach of the Plainview Bears, Nick Ledbetter, in the studio with us. Coach, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to kind of asking the same questions to all the coaches, you know, to kind of get a feel where you feel like your program is at going into the 2019 season, and also just kind of a get to know you situation. Of course, you do a show regular with us. Some of these other coaches don't, but let's just start off. Talk to us a little bit about your offensive and defensive philosophies as a coach. Every coach has got their own approach to the game, and we want to know a little bit about yours.
Defensively, so I'll start on the defensive side first. I tend to have a philosophy of bend but don't break. You know, it's tough to get kids to do their job every single play, whether they're 8 years old or 18 years old, and just execute, and to not jump off sides, and to step with the right foot and do the things that they need to do. So defensively, we try to, kind of stay two shells as much as we can, or at least show it. And we try to pad and squeeze. We stunt, and we're a kind of team. If we're going to stunt, we do it when we feel like we need to. We're not a team that feels like we have to pressure people. We want to play good technique, and we want to fit and read everything the way we're supposed to, and execute, and let our safeties try to come downhill and be pluggers. And if a team scores, we want them to be able to go to march. And we want it to be a nice long drive, and they've had to earn their way down the field, mistake-free. And if we can get our negative plays and get a couple turnovers along the way.
Don't give up chunk plays.
Don't give up chunk plays.
Right.
Don't give up a big play. And that's really anything. And takeaways, that's one thing that's on the offensive side, defensive side, that was really bad. We'll probably get into that a little bit later last year. And then offensively, we want to control the clock. We want to control the clock, and we want to be balanced. We want to throw the ball when we want to, and we want to run the ball when we want to. And we don't want the defense on the other side to dictate that. And if we feel like we have the kids to bring it in and be a power football team, that's what we're going to do. And if we feel like we have a more finesse team, or we feel like we can get the ball out quick and hit some guys to open it up so we can run the ball downhill, we'll do that too.
You know, it got me thinking. You were talking on the defensive side of the ball. It would be interesting to see statistics in the high school game, how many points are scored off of chunk plays, just assignment breakdowns and things like that. Because if you get to thinking about it, unless you're getting to a higher level teams, that's making it in the state playoffs, you don't see a lot of really long, sustained drives in high school like you do the college game, say. Again, that gets into discipline, and kids, if you can have a defense that you keep all your kids where they're supposed to be and just don't give up those big plays, that goes a long way toward being successful at that level.
And defensively for us, we try to teach our kids the other teams' concepts and whatever. There's spread teams, there's spread run teams, there's spread option teams, there's spread wing T teams, there's spread system teams. There's teams that pull guards, there's teams that pull tackles. What we try to teach our kids on defense to do is to match up. We try to teach them all those different angles and all those different separations and splits and width in the defense, the tight end wing back versus a number one receiver real wide and number two real tight, and the motions that go off of it, and they make their calls.
Right.
We don't tell our kids, you're going to be in an under front, you're going to be in an over front, we're going to be cover two, we're going to be cover three. We give our kids a base call. And when we see a particular formation, our front lines up to best defend that formation, whatever our three or shade or whatever our 5-9, however we line up to it. And if we get a tight end wing, we're in a different coverage. Mm-hmm. If we get a spread team with good splits, we're in a different coverage. If we have a team with tight splits or far splits or trips, our kids, we teach our safeties and backers to make the calls to put us in the best situation based off what the other offense is showing us. And then offensively, we want to attack what they give us.
This question, I'm really interested to hear your answer, because obviously last year the situation, you kind of got a late start, felt like you were a little bit behind the eight ball. Of course, I know you're not an excuse maker. You play the hands you're dealt, but you did get a late start last year. what are your takeaways? First of all, two-part question. What are your takeaways from last season? Kind of a hairy end there at the end, ended up with a three-way tie, very competitive in the region. And well, we'll just go with that for right now, and then we'll follow up.
Well, this time last year, on this time of the week, in July last year, we were installing our offense.
That's a later start than even I thought.
Now we're this week we focused on, this is a week where we've worked on our screen games within our offense. We've worked on other phases, and this is a screen week for us offensively. Defensively, what we try to do is, we have opponents on our schedule that's either spread, or they're a motion team that pulls guards, or they're a tight team that pulls tackles, vice versa. And we have 2 or 3 of the 10 teams on our schedule. We have a lot of them. 2 or 3 of them the same, almost the same in what they do. In defense, we work on a specific concept for that team, for a team that does this. So, we may work on the wing T teams on all of them. We may work all wing T teams this week or this day, and then all spread teams this day. And just kind of bundle up and mix in what each team does. But going into the last year's season, we did get a late start. But like I said, that's not an excuse. Our biggest takeaway, the ultimate thing that was our biggest kicker last year was turnovers. I've not researched it, but we were negative 18 on turnovers. And what I mean by negative 18, if the quarterback and the offense or the running backs, if we have a turnover or a fumble, let's say we had 2 of those. Well, our goal defense was to be +2.
Right.
So if our offense has 2 turnovers, that means our defense better get 4 takeaways. That's how you become +2. And the team that's +2 is more than likely the team that's always going to win. Well, we were right the opposite. We might have 4 turnovers on offense and 2 takeaways on defense would make us -2. We were negative 18. A team that plays for a championship game, whether it's high school, NFL, or college, they're going to have 20+ on turnover ratio. They have a lot of good things. Their effort and their attitude creates things that has them, and they have themselves in the right position and know what they're due to create turnovers or to take care of the football. And for us, we were negative 18. And the rule of thumb is if you're 0, if your turnover ratio is a washout, let's say offense has 10 turnovers, defense had 10 takeaways, so your turnover ratio is 0, you're not supposed to win a game.
Right.
You're not supposed to win a game at 0. We were negative 18.
And made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a biggie right there. The other 2, we had some key injuries. When we first came in, we was putting in our offense in it this week. We had a running back that I was really excited about. Better defensive player than he was running back. And Tony Rodriguez, and we kind of built what we was doing offense a little bit around him early in the season. And he went down second play of the game the first week of the season, and that put a big wrench in some of the stuff that we had just put in. So we had to kind of change on the fly, move kids around on the fly as the season went on. And then the other thing's finishing. We got Susan Moore home, and they were second in our area, and we led them all but 20 seconds of the game.
Yes.
All but 20 seconds of the game, and if it wasn't for turnovers, it would have been 21-0 with 20 seconds to go in the game instead of 7-0. And they had a big Hail Mary at the end to tie the game up going to overtime. They ended up winning, and we didn't finish that game. And same thing with Crossville, same thing with Pisgah. Pisgah game, we told our kids that this certain play was going to win the game for us. We got up, it was opened up, and we put the ball on the ground. Had another turnover.
I noticed last year, and of course I talked to a lot of other people, and obviously I saw every game and paid close attention to it. And the sense that I got, you could tell that the kids early in the season, especially when Rodriguez went down at Collinsville, they seemed to be a little bit lost, like, oh, now what happens? And probably when they still weren't 100% sure of what they were doing to begin with, because again, and I know you're not an excuse maker, but I'm an outside observer, I can say this. You get a late start installing your offense, and then it just seemed to kind of go from bad to worse, the Geraldine game, and then it's like they found themselves. And of course, I know they didn't win out the rest of the season, but after Geraldine, it just looked like a different football team. Tough breaks, a lot of close games. The Susan Moore game, that was a heartbreaker. The other ones that you talked about. But I was encouraged. I mean, I saw a shift. I mean, obviously you want W's. I know you want W's because you're a coach. But I saw a transition in that football team that, you know, and of course we'll talk about graduations and losses here in a minute. But as far as the guys you've got coming back, I definitely felt like you laid the groundwork, something good that you could build on. So follow up, the rest of that question. Compared to where you were last year, coming into this year, well, first of all, talk about losses to graduation. You know, I know you got some key holes to fill, quarterback position. Talk about some other things in defense as well.
Offensively, you know, we have one returning starter back on the offensive line. So we basically lost our offensive line, our core group offensive line, and that was offense that was kind of plugged in and anchored in by Ashley Spigner at center and John Brown at guard. And John Brown was a really, really good guard for us, and replacing him has been our biggest challenge, really in both guard positions. That's where our biggest fill-ins have to be on the offensive line. Quarterback, Andrew McLaughlin's quarterback, he lost him to graduation. We have Noah White coming in for him. Noah's a young kid, is going to be a 10th grader, has a lot of talent, but also has a lot of experience in growing up and growing pains he's got to go through, just like all new starting quarterbacks do. In our backfield, we lost Drew Smith and Jesse Davis, and of course Tony. And we'll be back in some of the new faces you'll see running the ball. Will be Trey Greenwood, which was a starter for us last year. We'll kind of move him around a little bit. And Hunter Patton. Hunter Patton's a kid that also was not able to stay healthy all year last year. Right. And unfortunately, he's also not been able to stay out healthy. I think he tore growing back in March, before spring training even started. He I believe he's getting closer and closer back to ready to play for us. But he's a kid that's very explosive that I'm excited about. And then we got Brody McCurdy returning, Matt Brown, and all of our wide receiver skill positions with Corey Blair, Brody Parker, Zeb Ferguson, and Greenwood, and Logan Bell. All those guys are back on the offensive side. Defensively, Ashley Spigner, going back to that same name on the offensive line. 3 technique. He's a fantastic football player. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we have another kid that can do what he did on the defensive line on our team right now. We don't. But we got some kids that I'm pretty excited about that we can get them there one day or get them there as soon as we can. They have a lot of work to do to get there. But you take a 3 technique that had 28 tackles for a loss. Well, there's probably a handful of kids in the state of Alabama that did that. Right. And we didn't play anybody on our schedule that blocked him. Nobody on our schedule blocked Ashley. So replacing, we got 2 other, but we do have 2 D linemen we're starting coming back. We lost 1 linebacker. We got a good core group of linebackers coming back, and our DBs and safeties are all, for the most part, coming back. So there's some, our biggest issue going into this season is just experience. That's the biggest thing is experience. We got to, all high school sports, I don't care what sport it is, if you have a team and a group of kids that work hard and work together and has been in the fire together, you're going to have success. Right. And we got some kids that's lacking experience. So we're doing a lot of summer competitions this summer, and I think we got one tomorrow, and I think it's about our 5th or 6th one already this summer, and that's to get our kids as much experience as we possibly can. Of
course, you know, at this level, I don't, and I know you probably don't want to focus in on one kid. It's a team sport, but obviously football centers around the quarterback. Talk a little bit more about your quarterback. We saw White last year. Particularly looked impressive to me, and I'm sure you'll know the series I'm talking about. Went in against Fultondale in the playoff game on the road, and I mean looked like a seasoned senior for that series. And he also got his bell rung, which scared me because not the biggest guy in the world. I know you were concerned. Has some size issues. Yeah, I know he's probably been working out, eating the peanut butter sandwiches and drinking the chocolate milk.
He's not doing enough for either one of them. I tell him, you know, we sell our True Move. We sell True Move to the kids. I try to tell him, you get 2 for the price of 1. If you'll just come in here and get them.
He may just need his own cow.
Yeah. But he's a talented kid. Like I said, he's a young kid, and he's still got a lot of things to do and work on and grow up on. And I've talked about it. There's a few things in his game that he struggles with now, and he knows exactly what they are because I tell it to him every day. But last year he was a kid we were excited about last year. but that was a thing. He was a freshman. The size and weight he had on him was something that bothered me, because I wanted him to be a guy that could come in for us. And we also got Brody Parker, who's a very capable kid too. But Brody's he's a really good route runner and really good receiver. Mm-hmm. And we need him running routes and catching balls. But we also can throw him in there and do some stuff at quarterback that he does a couple of things he does as good or better than Noah does. But as far as a total package, Noah's got a great future ahead of him. But
equally as impressive as the series itself and how he, controlled the offense on that drive, to me was when he did get his bell rung, and he got it rung good. Mm-hmm. As soon as the birds quit flying around, man, he was up and back in there. He's a gamer.
He's a gamer. Winner. He's a winner. He played in some games. What we want to do is work him in on defense and get his feet wet in the varsity, and then get him more reps at quarterback. And in that Geraldine game, that same week, we threw him out there on kickoff. And he got his bell rung pretty good. We didn't get him back till, I think, after the 5th game, something like that. And then he kind of started getting his reps back in. And then we had some really, really wet weather towards the end of the season that kept him off the field, getting some more reps as well.
Well, I was talking about Fultondale, didn't he? He took a hard lick in Fultondale games, the one I was talking about.
Yeah, he played in 3 or 4 games, and he took some hard licks on him. And that's one of the things, about him being so young and on varsity ball that worried me. But he did. He came in right after halftime. We threw him right in there, and I think he was like 5 for 7, and then had a 25-yard run and a touchdown just in about 8 plays right down the field.
Yeah. How satisfied are you with spring practice? Y'all came through spring. I think turnovers were an issue against North Sand Mountain.
It was the negative plays up front with basically our new offensive line. We played. I know 2 kids at center might have played 3. We had a couple bad snaps that put us. First play of the game, we snapped it 15 yards over the quarterback's head. We had some breakdowns in the secondary. We were doing some things on defense that we don't normally do, but we were testing the waters, because that's the time to do things like that on the defensive side of the ball in the springtime. And we were able to find out in the springtime what we could do and what we couldn't do defensively. And I think we got most of that straightened out, and we've seen what we wanted to see. Offensively, we just put ourselves in that hole. We had, other than when we had a bad snap or a holding, your typical holding calls, and we just played sloppy up front. But Noah, I think he was 13 for 15.
Yes.
And I think he had about 240 yards all-purpose in 2 quarters. So, and we had probably 60 to 80 rushing with all the other backs, and I think we had 6 or 7 different kids catch a ball. So we done some things good after we got to put ourselves in the hole.
Right. Yeah, I was not able to be at that game, but I watched the entire game on Huddle, play by play, and I saw that right off, and I was like, but that particular game didn't go the way you want. But overall, spring practice.
I was tickled with spring. I was really happy with spring practice. We had some good. I know of 2 practices that stick out in my head that were really, really bad. Mm-hmm. But overall, of our 8 practices we get, I was pretty pleased with it, and pleased with what the kids were doing and how they were picking up on things. And go back to the spring game. North Sand Mountain's got a good football team as well.
Yes,
they're pretty good. They got
one of the better quarterbacks.
Yeah, that joker can do it all. But we averaged almost 9 yards a play on first down that game.
Wow.
On first downs, we averaged right at 9 yards a play, and when we'd go backwards or do something to.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the kids are more comfortable now. They've had a little over a year now in your system. You've come through spring. We're into summer workouts now, and I think you told me practice fall camp starts the 5th, August 5th.
Mm-hmm. August 5th.
So going into fall camp, how do you feel overall about where your team is in relation to where they were last year? And looking down your schedule, of course, region games, you got Geraldine, always tough. Should be tough again this year, probably better. Susan Moore, I don't really know about them. Sylvania, always competitive. Then Brindley Mountain, New Hope, and Pisgah be competitive. What do you see as the biggest challenges to your schedule? And
our biggest schedule, I'm one of the things I'm probably most excited about for this next is I get to make my schedule for the first time next year. I'm playing on previous coach's schedule, and it's just not mapped out very well. Last year we were away, and then we were home, away, home, and then home. It's mapped out really weird, and it's really front end heavy.
Right.
And Collinsville's got a fantastic football team. They probably have one of their top 5 or 6 teams that they might have had in school history down there right now. And I might be leaving some guys out, and I apologize if I do. That's had some better ones, but they got a really good talented football team. North Jackson was loaded last year, and then we right into Geraldine, who had a good football team. Those are our first 3.
Well, at least North Jackson's coming to Plainview this year, and they won't be bringing Lee Witherspoon with them.
They will not be bringing
They'll be
him with them.
Starkville, Mississippi.
No, yeah, as well as the twins. Tanner and I can't think of the other one's name. The Woodall twins. They don't have them no more either. I coached those 2 at Scottsboro. They were some headhunters. They'd knock your lights out.
Again, looking at the schedule, and last year the region was obviously very competitive. I mean, came down to a 3-way tie right there at the end. Tiebreakers to see who goes to. Yeah. That could possibly be the situation this year. I mean, it's all of these teams. I know Pisgah's going to be competitive, and of course we've already talked about Geraldine. Sylvania, I'm not sure in terms of what they lost. You probably know more about that.
Up front they'll be pretty good. They'll be pretty talented. They got a starting quarterback. It's a freshman last year's back as a sophomore. They got I'm not going to speak out of turn, but I know they'll have Anderson at running back. May have 2 of them. I'm not sure on that. But up front, defensive line, front line, linebackers, they ought to be pretty solid. And they got some good skill guys too, and some young guys coming up behind them. It's pretty talented as well. So they'll have a good team.
Well, Coach, before you go, I want to give you an opportunity. I know you have got your youth football camp coming up. What is that? That's going to be the 15th?
July 15th. It'll be on a Monday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And just bring your money when you come. We don't have a pre-registration, and we'll take 10, 15 minutes before 9 o'clock and 10 to 15 after 9 o'clock to get all that settled, and then.
And that's going to be at the Field of Dreams.
It's going to be over at the school.
Oh, at the school. Pee-wee sign-ups.
Pee-wee sign-ups in Rainsville.
Same day.
The same day as the last day for sign-ups, which is July 15th at the Field of Dreams from 5:30 to 7 p.m.
That's the Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
That's what had me confused. Yeah. Well, Coach, thanks for coming in and talking with us. Good luck this season.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press 2019 Football Preview Show. I ask you to stay tuned and be looking as we bring you other preview shows with all the other coaches in the area as the weeks progress, building up to the 2019 season.
Building your dream home is one of the great joys in life. At First Southern State Bank, we know construction and mortgage financing, putting today's low rates to work for you. As you and your family move closer to the completion of your new home, we know that your home is where memories are made and families grow stronger year after year. At First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, Scott Kirk stands ready to tailor the right construction loans to meet your needs, along with our staff of experienced loan professionals. Drop by to share your dreams with us today in Rainsville. First Southern State Bank in Rainsville. All the bank you'll ever need.
Folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City in Fort Payne, Alabama. I want to invite everybody to come out to our new location. We're at 1411 Glen Boulevard, right where you turn to go on Airport Road. We've got plenty of inventory for you to choose from. I got cars, trucks, vans, sport utility vehicles of any make and model. Come down here and visit us. Let us see what we can do for you. If you got some slow credit, I've got some banks that'll take care of that. We've got great financing, got a great selection of cars. Y'all come down here and see us.
Don't take the first deal that comes along when you can do better at BobbyLedbetter.com and Twin City Used Car Sales, located at 1411 Glen Boulevard in South Fort Payne.